Hey, it's Rihanna. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing the Grocery Wars wrap-up. So if this is your first time to my channel, or the first Grocery Wars episode you're watching, click the eye in the sky or the link down below to take you to the playlist so you can watch the other episodes before you watch the wrap-up. So I want to start off by saying that this is probably going to seem very heavily pro Aldi, but this is not a sponsored video. But you know, if you're watching Aldi, I would love to work with you. But no, this is not sponsored. Basically, I decided to do this series because I do feel so strongly about Aldi being the best grocery store to shop at, especially for people who are trying to stay on budget or like large families or whatever. I knew that Aldi was helping my husband and I save a lot of money week to week, and I was curious just how much money it was saving us. What I did was I made a list of about 20 items that I bought pretty consistently week to week or every 2 weeks on my normal grocery shopping trips. And then I went to 6 other grocery store chains in the Houston area and bought the identical item or as close to the item as I could find, trying to find the cheapest items pretty much. And then I would write down, actually I have a little spreadsheet that I made in one of my planners, and I wrote down all the items, all the stores, and I wrote down the price for all of them. And then each store had its own page where I would write any pros or cons for the store and any notes that I needed to know about that store. So now that I've shopped at all 7 stores, I sat down with my little notebook and I made a list of, you know, from most expensive to least expensive, the pricing in between, like, so from this store to this store, what was the difference. I also marked down if a store had the cheapest item out of all 7 stores. And then I also just took down some notes about important things that I wanted to go over with y'all. So I'm just going to go ahead and start. I do want to say before we begin that packaging and pricing was a little bit inconsistent between store to store. I could have probably done this by, you know, price per ounce or price per item, but it would have made it a little bit more difficult, and so I decided just to do it based on the pricing. But I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. I'm going to start with the most expensive store and work my way down to the cheapest store. The most expensive store was Randall's, and I spent $80.60 there. And out of all of the stores, Randall's had 0 items that were the cheapest. It was also $35 away from the lowest. So my opinion of Randall's is to never shop there. There's just no reason that you ever need to waste your money at Randall's. Randall's pricing isn't even competitive to the other grocery stores, not including the cheapest. The next store is Fiesta, and I spent $57.13 there. And there was one item that was the cheapest, and that was the cream of mushroom soup. And there was a $12 difference between Fiesta and the cheapest store. Fiesta has a really large selection of international items and not just the Mexican or Hispanic items. They had a really large international item with like German, Italian, Asian, you know, Pakistan. It was a really great selection. So that was one pro. It also had a really large like butcher and seafood area. So if you're ever in the market for fresh meats or seafood, Fiesta would definitely be a place to shop. The next store was H-E-B, and I spent $56.66, hard to say. And that was about $12 difference as well. And at H-E-B, the bananas and the taco kit were the cheapest items from that store. The pros that I have for H-E-B, they have a tortilleria or whatever it's called, where they make fresh tortillas, and the selection of tortillas, they have like whole wheat, butter tortillas. It was just, and they're fresh made there, and you can pick up a pack of warm tortillas, and nothing tastes better than a delicious warm tortilla. The next store was Kroger's, and I spent $54.20 there, and that was a price difference of $9.41. And the shredded cheese and the ground turkey were the cheap items from there. I will say that their ground turkey was on sale, so I picked up a couple packs. And their shredded cheese, while it was the cheapest, it was a 3 for $5 deal. If I would have purchased one package, it would have been, I think, $1.99, which would have put it out of the cheap. Personally, I can't think of any specific pro for Kroger's necessarily. I would just say that it's a middle of the road grocery store. I mean, it's nothing special, but it's not terrible. I mean, it's just, I guess it's consistent. You can go to Kroger's and always expect it to be the same. So, pro, maybe? I don't know. The next cheapest was Walmart. I spent $53.02 there, and it was a price difference of $8.23. There was one item that tied with Aldi for the cheapest, and that was their gallon of milk at $1.59. I will say that I know a lot of families have to buy a lot of milk, so milk prices being cheap are always a pro. The second runner-up for cheapest is Food Town. I spent $51.49 there, and that was a difference of $6.70. It had several items that were considered the cheapest. Apples, cabbage, corn, green beans, spaghetti sauce, spaghetti noodles, lunch meat, and the chicken breast. Unfortunately, I don't really have any specific pros for Food Town. Most of the Food Towns that I've been to or that I've seen have been older stores. They don't seem to be very well maintained, and for me personally, I just don't prefer to shop in an old rundown store. But their prices are cheap. And lastly, the cheapest store was Aldi, and I spent $44.79. And a couple things that I do want to point out is that I know that Aldi has some negatives to it that people feel pretty strongly about. One thing that's unique to them is the fact that they have the carts that you have to put a quarter in. They don't bag your groceries either. And those are to actually keep their prices low. Another thing is their selection is kind of small, and they don't carry name brand products. Personally, I find that I would rather spend less money on groceries and more money in other places. During the grocery wars, I could tell a difference in our budget on how much money we had left after bills were paid in that kind of little buffer area when I wasn't shopping at Aldi. I personally cannot wait to go back to Aldi. I've been shopping pretty exclusively to Aldi for the last year or two, I'm not really sure. But once I realized how much money I was saving, I found a way to make Aldi work for me. Yes, their selection is small. Yes, they don't typically have name brand products, but I found a way to, you know, make what we like to eat work with the Aldi store. Like their ground turkey meat is fine. They have this Italian sausage that's delicious. Frozen chicken breast. Those are all things that are not going to change from store to store. I know people have preferences for certain name brand products, but I found that overall I have been very satisfied with their products. Another thing that Aldi offers is a money back guarantee. So if you do find something that you don't like, or if you purchase something that ends up not being good, you can bring it back and they will they'll replace the product and give you your money back. The entire time that I've shopped there, I've only had to return one item. I bought some Italian sausage or some ground turkey that smelled sour, and I returned it with no questions asked. I mean, well, they asked one question, why I was returning it, but it wasn't a big deal. They gave my money back. The other note that I wanted to make was about the packaging. While some items at other stores may have been considered the cheapest item just going by price, if I would have done it by the price per ounce or item, Aldi still would have won in those areas. For example, fruit snacks and lunch meat, spaghetti noodles. All those items come in bigger packaging for less money at Aldi. If you don't count Randall's, which was the most expensive, and if you don't count Aldi, which was the least expensive, the other 5 stores all were within $50. $51.49 for Food Town and $57.13 for Fiesta. So it was about a $5 to $6 difference in between the other stores. So they're all pretty competitive, outside of Aldi definitely being the cheapest and Randall's as being the most expensive. Another complaint that I hear frequently about Aldi is their produce. I've found that their vegetables seem to be fine. Bananas can sometimes be gross and they don't seem to last very long. But normally what I do is I am just really particular when I buy bananas from them. Sometimes you have to look at the bottom, like, you know, flip them over, make sure it doesn't have any brown spots already. And their apples can be kind of weird too. So I always take a little bit more time when I'm buying their apples and bananas. And occasionally if they're not looking good, I just won't buy them. But their bread, cheeses, milk, pasta, canned goods, cereals, lunch type snacks like fruit snacks, applesauce, their fresh meats, their frozen meats, like none of that is gonna be any different than what you would buy at a regular store. So I don't see where people, it's like people have decided they're just not gonna like Aldi, and so they just don't even give it a chance. I mean, like, what's the difference between a spaghetti noodle, a dried spaghetti noodle at Aldi versus a dried spaghetti noodle at Kroger's? Nothing. So, I don't know. Obviously, I feel very strongly about Aldi, and I think everyone should shop there because I don't feel like you should waste money at other stores. When you shop at other stores that have a bigger selection, you always leave spending more money than you wanted and buying more things than you wanted. So when I shop at Aldi, yes, I may go off my list and I may go over budget, but over budget means I spent $80. Over budget at Kroger's means I spent $150. Or, you know, over budget at Walmart can mean that I spent hundreds of dollars. And also, because I try to eat healthy, not having to walk down an aisle with Little Debbie's and 100 different kinds of Oreos and like 1,500 different types of chips and just all that junk food that I'll be tempted to buy, like, definitely makes a pro for Aldi's sake. Alright, so that wraps up my 15-minute long commercial for Aldi. If you have an Aldi in your area and you haven't tried it, I would encourage you to go try it out. Do be prepared and know that you have to have a quarter to get your basket, and you need to either bring your own bags or purchase their shopping bags from them. Go in with an open mind and see if you can make Aldi work for you. If you're a family that's trying to save money, then I would definitely recommend Aldi for you. Yes, sometimes you'll have to supplement by stopping at, you know, your next local store for an item or two occasionally. But I can get away with not shopping anywhere else. I can get away with maybe 1 or 2 stops at Walmart a month, if that. And the fewer times I have to go to another grocery store, the better, because I am not good at sticking to my budget. So this wraps up the Grocery Wars series. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any ideas for a series you would like to see me do, make sure you leave them down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, click that thumbs up button, and if you really like the series, I would encourage you to share it with your friends and family, and I will see you next time. Bye! Go shop at Aldi!